Here we are. I made it. Today, technical difficulties. Good morning.
You made it.
I made
Fede,
it.
you already made it.
I
Wow.
made it. I made it. I made it. I made it. I made a mess. Like I started the streaming and then I stopped it and then I started again.
You're the best.
But yeah, but it's live. It looks like it's live. So
Uh-huh.
welcome everyone. Good morning. I can see you really well. I love the name Raf on the hat.
On the cat.
I
Yeah.
I know you cannot see the streaming live, but like I changed also the label. So now we got Fede and Raf. Last time we got Federico and Raffaele. We were getting a
Exactly.
little bit too corporate, so we didn't want to get so much corporate, I guess.
Actually, I honestly changed my name to Raf. Like I'm trying to make for people easier to reach me out. And I think it's the same for you, Fede. Even if I love your name, but for me, for example, Raffaele, it's quite counterintuitive. Two F, one L, then is the E mess, and I think Federico is
Especially
nice.
abroad. Oh yeah, I got this Fred all the time or Federico, so I know that's
Fred,
why I go for Fede. Yeah, yeah.
not
Uh,
Fred.
uh,
You
no,
know,
no,
like.
people here will know that I go for FedEx without the X. So they get it that it's like Fede. It's because if you say Federico, Fede, they say they don't get it. I don't know why. It's probably my accent, but it doesn't matter. We still
Still, try to make it easier.
yeah,
How have
yeah,
you
yeah,
been,
yeah.
dude? It's been a week, and we're on this. Let's call it first episode because last time was kind of a prompt. And how have you
hmm
been, first of all?
Been great. Been like making the finishing touches, so a little bit more of our marketing stuff
Uh,
out there, so people knows that we're actually doing this one like week by
yeah.
week, and we'll figure that out. I think we everything looks loud and clear. I think we should have like our platforms up. I'm just
Mm.
checking here. Yes, fantastic. Um, so let's, without, like they say here, without further ado. What do we want to discuss on the first episode?
Oh, let me just quickly add a super quick behind the scenes. You have done a great job on the marketing side, and I want to publicly say that because I'm like the designer, let's say, and you're more on the corporate side. So I should take care of this, and I will do. So I wanted to praise you and bless you for all the amazing work on Instagram and too on LinkedIn too. Kudos to Fede, great co-host. And to come back to the question, we were chatting about something that is not on top of the mind of everyone right now, right? I think like we want to be a bit futuristic and talking about AI right now. How does it sound? Is that like too broad as a topic right now or not? How you
Oh,
feel about
I mean,
that?
considering none of us are expert in AI, right? It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, not speculation, because I do see a good amount of AI in the work I do every day. I've seen it in the past. I think it's
Uh-huh.
becoming the new normal in everything that we do. But yes, there's been a lot of buzz about AI, especially the infamous generative AI, right? That's the elephant in the room.
Mm.
There was this very interesting meme the other day that was making fun of the number of people that now are becoming AI experts. Definitely, let's make it clear we are not AI experts. I'm fortunate enough at work to work with a person that we hired that she's our AI expert. So we're not going to say that Rafa and I are AI expert in any way, shape, or form, but we do have our perspective, and we've been using AI, I guess, in our everyday life. So we wanna to share our point of view.
Mm, sounds great. Actually, I have a question for you, Fede. First of all, yes. Uh, would you think he's an AI expert? Because that's my, like, we're not, okay? We're not. I was definitely fascinating. I'm still super fascinating. I'm building products on AI. Is interesting. I'm not super in deep with data acquisitions and processing and model selection and training, like from a deep technical perspective. But what do you think is an AI expert right now?
Oh, there are so many different AI experts. I
Mm,
would say there are depending on which application of AI you're going for, right?
mm,
Because you AI is just a way to include automation and a more advanced modeling process by a computer into everything that you do, right? So let's say this one, you can infuse AI in everything that you do if you do something digital. So depending if you're more on the engineering side or the business side, I think is the big difference. Like, are you a person that is more like of a techie, working on the engineering implementation and implication of what AI is, training the module, developing the module, make sure that the module works well with the environment and the interface? Or are you more on, let's say, the customer and business side? So you're thinking of what are the use cases for AI and how you should apply AI. Like, can you attach AI to a chatbot to make it more conversational? Can you attach AI to a front end to empower search? Like, these are more on the business side. I kind of see these kind of two main areas, and where the experts are from where I sit.
Yeah, can we break our like can we define a line about design? Because we talk about engineers and business. I'm curious about where are we seating us as designers here? Like, uh, I'm totally fascinated about everything AI is in terms of applications, but just from a not scared perspective, like a curiosity perspective, like you mentioned about generative AI. And on top of that, I would love to add, what is something that you heard about that got you fascinated about the AI, especially for designers or design in general?
Well, where do you think we sit?
That's yeah, no, I mean, it's been quite challenging, to be honest, because I have great friends, great creative persons that are feeling like, oh, cool, I can't work anymore because AI can generate things and things like that. I'm not believe that much in that. Like, it's just like, do you remember when Spotify came out? I'm gonna use this analogy that I'm picking up right now. But when Spotify came out, the music was super accessible and available. You don't need to do crazy stuff on top of that. And now we are having this amazing experience with creating art and generative art and have new things that are popping out of prompts, which is great. But I feel as a tool, as an enhancement for us as humans, not a replacer for designers, humans, and thinkers. And to come back to your point, yes, it's a tool, I think, but I'm really optimistic. I don't know, like I'm talking with people and they say, "Oh no, Raf, you're a dreamer." Am I?
No, I mean, that's what designers should be. I mean, more than everybody else. I'm not saying designers should be only dreamers. You also know that I don't call designers designers, I call them makers. But um,
Yes.
because of that, I think we stay in the middle, or like connecting the two, right? Definitely
Mm,
between the business side and the engineering side, is because, again, AI is a technology per se. Can be leveraged on specific business use case, but the way you apply AI to those use cases using
mm,
the right technology is important. Because let's make a practical example. Like, a business or a consumer can have a problem. That's how you generate, right? Always the design thinking process. You're trying to solve that problem within a use case. And that's what the business will be focusing on, right? And technology is just saying, giving you like option. Hey, we have many AI powered tools, right? Again, it can be a chatbot, can be something via voice, can be something that can be via search, can be whatever, right? But is the ability to blend kind of the brief of the problem or the use case, whether it's a user,
mm,
whether it's a business, and find the best tool, the best application, the technology application of the AI, and design it on an interface. That's what the designer does.
mm,
And this is designing for AI. It's not even using AI to do your work. They are two completely different things. This is where a
mhm,
designer is defining the space for AI in what they do. Using AI in the everyday job is a completely different beast.
mm. No, no, yeah. I'm saying it's totally right, and we can maybe record another episode about the ethics related to that. And it's not like that AI is the solutions, and you can find a way to fix or make your problem an AI thing to find a solution out of that. Uh, I think you nailed down in terms of uh, it's another weapon to our toolbox.
Yeah.
And to mention to quote old fans from day zero, we will most likely have a new modern designers revised for the new season, because I think AI is as a tool. Okay, it's a tool. It's definitely something to consider. But I would love to see how the modern designer uh, could and should integrate this tool from an ethic perspective and uh, from an inclusion kind of perspective to best leverage our skills as designers in terms of optimizing the business.
Mhm. Yeah, related to that, I just published an article on UX Collective. It's on Medium, so it's a. I think for everyone that's a designer out there, they probably know the publication from Fabrizio Teixeira, right? I guess pretty major one. And it's also within LinkedIn. I think it's called the user experience group, user experience community. So it's same stuff, but very easy to find. And I was trying to imagine, because I'm testing my crystal ball as I speak. People are getting scared, especially creative. Again, as you were saying, AI is going to steal my job, but is it? I, I'm one of the people that don't believe it is going to be. Again, it's going to be a mix of merging AI into the things that we do in design, but also leveraging AI in the work that we do. So in this
Mm-hmm.
article, I was trying to focus on two parts. The first one is what are the things, like what are the skills that a designer has today, and this is something that we will bring into the future. It's something that AI cannot replace. So kind of hang on to those because you know you're not going to lose them. AI cannot replace you for those, right? And in this area, I was talking about creativity. I mean, it's very clear that creativity is like a huge component. Emotional maturity is something that we do have. AI can be clever. It can get probably more empathetic. They're not sentient yet, with sentient being like if you've seen sci-fi movie, right? The ability to go in and feeling feelings, right? Feeling feelings. That's it. But emotional maturity is great, especially when it comes to dealing with people, because AI will be used by people and can be generative or whatever, but needs a trigger. Emotional maturity is something that gets you within the people and getting the best out of them. I mentioned critical thinking because again,
Mm-hmm.
AI leverages a lot of prompt and a lot of the things that they process. But yes, it's sure that they have more firepower and more computational power, but the critical thinking is the way you distill different input into an output. So we might be more unique in the way we leverage that process. And and then two things that are a little bit more tricky are adaptability. As I said, the same answer might not apply to different scenario. So whenever you find yourself in a situation where, depending on the kind of prompts that you receive as a real human being, you will combine them in a different way. It's almost like you're crafting your cocktail, but you're
Mm-hmm.
personalizing depending on who's asking. Well, probably
Mm-hmm.
AI, it doesn't matter like who's making the prompt. If 10 different people are asking for the same prompt, they will probably do like similar output, right? So they don't have the same adaptability, at least yet.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, is a concept that I love that is called followership. It's basically, despite the fact that AI can use and process a huge amount of data, they cannot make it work in a way that people can relate to you. It's kind of the next level of empathy where you not only get connected to someone on an idea or on a project, on a program, but you also develop like followership as you're bought into that. So the ability to get followership and have like people following the idea, congregating them together is like something that the AI I don't think is going to develop. That's a lot. Which one was the one that like surprised you the most?
The last two, I have some follow-ups on the last. Actually, thank you for sharing that, first of all. It's worth mentioning that we got in touch through LinkedIn, me and you, but there's been
Yeah.
some back and forth across Medium. So it's always a pleasure to read you, Fede. The last two, because adaptability, when you mentioned the prompts, it took me out the fact that we need to read the instructions with prompts. It's something that I'm building kind of a studio right now, and I'm working with a technical co-founder, and me and I, we you like me and him, we're just figuring out ways of interacting with the prompts, and we are just like, okay, cool, but we need to read how to make good prompts in order to use AI. And this is something that I think it's very underrated. So in terms of adaptability, yes, totally. But let's try to figuring out how this thing works, because it's a new thing. And no one wants to read instructions on when you buy a play or whatsoever. You want to play with it, right? But still, I think it's super important. I found a resource online. Maybe I will add that to the notes about the good prompts, because it's, for me, it's all about that. And on the second part, in the feeling of, let's say, belonging, right? On the last part that you mentioned, like the feeling
Yep.
of it maybe it's not that belonging, but it's more like being supported or included in a space that AI is not able to generate. I'm probably quote this too much, and I'm so sorry about that. But that experience when I visited the Notion office in New York, yes, but in San Francisco, I went to the Notion offices, and I don't know, like I don't know what was there, but it's just like the energy, the feeling, the vibe, and the everything that from the people and from the environment and from like even to the bathrooms and things. I felt I belonged to that place. So good job, Ivan, and yeah, I mean that's a human touch, a human effort, and
Uh,
yeah.
True. I mean, it's back. I think still belonging is the right word because it still goes back to this the feeling of um, trust and influence that people can have on you in the most positive way, and that's
Mm.
always existed. They will always exist because eventually, like human being, will be moving things. And yeah, so fellowship is a kind of like even a new word that I came up with. No, not really. I didn't came up with that. I actually learned that while I was writing the article. And yeah, we'll put the article here in the comments in whatever media you're following this one. And we will, as always, we'll put all the link and the resources and the researchers that we find in our comments, so you guys can read whatever we read. We don't have any secrets. And yeah,
No.
that's definitely one part. The second part that I wanted to mention, though, that I discussed in the article is the opposite. So if the first part was, oh, okay, I'm scared, AI is stealing my job. What can I like grab onto? Is the opposite, quite the opposite. It is, oh, I want to get better. I want to develop my skills.
Mm.
What are some of the things that I should study? I didn't even use the word study. I really like the way the word develop because it's developing as we speak. And what are the two things? So in that regards, I only mention a couple of things. And the first
Mm.
one that I got was I don't even know if that's a proper name. I use generative AI prompt design. I I think I found even this term that I love that is called prompt engineering. That is cool. Maybe not for a designer, but basically they're mostly the same thing. That is the ability of how can I craft the best prompt to get what I need? Because
Mm.
now getting it, and some people are really thinking, oh, then it's all about making a prompt and it does the work for you, and it's not that easy. Like the ability of having the right prompt for the like right scenario
Yeah.
comes from all the skills that we were saying before. And I pretty much I make an analogy between when you are a director, maybe even an orchestra director, right? Or you are a creative director. That's a very creative job. What you do is like you never design. You don't push pixel, right? You don't put pen to paper. You just direct people to get something out. So in this sense, prompting AI is like directing humans in doing their work,
Hmm.
except the fact that it's much faster. So I got this from a really smart colleague of mine. His name is like Simone Parmigiani, Simon Parmigiani. He does some amazing stuff of Midjourney and all the rest. So I'm gonna try to invite him one of these days. And if he's listening now, he's been summoned, so I'll text him. But
Please, you want to
this is
come?
something I got from him. He was like, he's a very successful creative director, and he was like, there is no difference for me in the way I think about directing a machine or directing a human. There is in the way
Mm.
you interact, of course, right? But the concept is very similar. So being able to get into this like prompt design, it's something so fascinating because it also takes a little bit of a how am I being interpreted, right? How are my words being interpreted, and what is actually a third party imaging or creating out of my prompt? So I think it's pretty cool.
It's definitely a mindful exercise, I would say. If you before, and this is something I was working on before. Like, thank you for sharing. First of all, I think like before talking, we should know what we are trying to say. And worth mentioning maybe is to just have a crash course, a 101, like a natural language processing for dummies or whatsoever, because the essence is all about that. You just need that amount of information to understand how AI works in that sense. So you get an idea of the natural language processing, how they're based on top of the applications, and then you are far away and in the prompt design kind of work, which is basically just as you said, is just tuning in a machine kind of sense, not human kind of sense, as far as creative directors are doing with people, with the machine that has been trained on top of some prompts, and you just have to figure out what are the right prompts that you want to give. And at the very end, I think the success in the long run is just about confidence and trusting. I trust my prompts because I tested them out. I know what I'm hoping to get. Well, now we are still, because it's super early. I think we're still on a stage that, yeah, we'll play it around, something will pop out, and that's it. Well, I think that this has a potential in terms of being more consistent and reliable on on the exact thing I wanted to have or I want to move forward,
Hmm.
if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
at least my idea here. So
Yeah.
study natural languages processing, and I mean not studying because I'm not that deep, but I found it super interesting.
The the example I highlighted in that section, it's something that's not even visual. It was music. And I guess it
Mm,
gets pretty popular because David Guetta, very famous DJ, did it. He used a tool called UberDuck, and again, there is link to all this in the article. And basically, he sampled the voice of Eminem to create a part of one of his songs that he was playing live. So Eminem never provide any part of his voice. He just went to UberDuck and say, "Can you sing this part with the voice of Eminem?" And even the other day, I found another tool where you could have. I remember they were featuring songs by Rihanna or whoever, by sing by Kanye, like with the voice of Kanye. So it was great because that prompt basically gave him something that he could have never had probably in other, maybe David
yes.
Guetta, yes. And it was super incredible. And people were asking, "Oh, what is this? What is this Eminem song?" And it was like, it's not a song. I just created the prompt out of nothing because I wanted to have his voice in this situation to the point of ethics and maybe even compliance. Is that fair? Can you actually reuse and simulate the voice of someone without paying? Is like some like his or her rights? So I don't have an answer to that. We can talk about that, but let's not discuss it for a second. I thought it was really cool. So when you think about prompt, it's not just visual, like Midjourney and all the other stuff, ChatGPT, right? Because like it's all about that. But there's also UberDuck. There's a lot of stuff that you guys should take a look at into.
And most likely those are, just to close this up, it's super interesting. Those are all built by OpenAI docs. So the technology is kind of the same. It's just like the leverage and usage of prompts is making the difference here. So
Yeah.
you can, if you know your prompts, just to close the practical kind of, don't get scared about AI and try to go beyond just oh cool, I asked how to make user research and I got the steps. It's just more than that.
And the last part of the article, so the latest skill that I put, it's
Mm,
something that we've been hearing for a while now. I mean, I can get a lot of bias because of the company I work into, but I mentioned AR and VR design, and not in each way to push anything related to metaverse or whatever, but is the fact that sometimes it's called even 3D design. I didn't call it that way because 3D design is also thought about related to physical product. So the 3D is usually how you shape something and you make it work in the form and function. So this is more about 3D design in a virtual environment, in a digital environment, right? And I found a couple of really cool articles that designed by Meta shared on what is the best practice to get started. Because I get a lot of questions from people saying, "Oh, I would love to start doing this one and even design for the metaverse. What does it mean? How can I design for VR?" And so there are a bunch of tools. Like one of them, probably the most famous, is like Unity or Unreal, because they are connected to a lot of gaming
mm,
that opens up a new plethora of things for a designer. It's also very tech savvy, like designing in 3D for like for VR and AR. It's probably not as simple as like a 2D. Like it takes a whole new level of creativity because now, guess what? You have no limits and you have more than three dimension, to be honest, because you can do whatever you want. But the implication of space and movement are way more uh, I don't know, heavy on you to calculate instead of the typical 2D on your Figma or Adobe XD, right? So
Mm,
it's very fascinating. It takes a little bit more of tech. That's why like the barrier of entry is a little bit bigger, but I still see a lot of demand coming in the next I don't know,
mm.
month, maybe not even years, because a lot of business want to get into VR in some space. And I don't think we have enough designers to do that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing, Fede. Do you think, like, to be honest with you, I haven't played that much with Unity just because of the learning curve.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, what is missing here is a Figma for 3D design, or when I'm saying Figma, I'm calling something like something is super easy to use to like break the barriers and just allow people to create more. But I'm more scared in some terms of those implications are really worth considering. Like you can skip the safety purposes, like the space, the amount of the distance between objects and things like that. So I'm curious to hear your take here on new designers in 3D and new tools in 3D here, and how
I,
AI can leverage that.
I'm not a visual. I'm definitely not. I don't have any experience. Like the only experience that we had was when, if you remember, we used the Spark AR that is a product by Meta,
Yeah.
and I that was almost 2 years ago, right? When we did the boomerang experiment. So
Uh,
basically
I
for
just
AR,
remember I was at the airport in Naples and I don't remember where I was going, but I remember that. Yeah, I
right?
remember
So
that.
basically, and we also have an article about that. Like in 48 hours, we were able to get
Yeah.
connected with the platform and do like a very simple filter for designers. That's the first step because it's AR, right? It's not even VR. But I remember that, oh, there were a lot of implication in terms of the space and the way it was working with like your eyes and the rotation. So that's the
Mm,
tech part. So I don't think the curve is that steep because if we could do something in 48 hours and we documented it, it's not that steep, right?
mm,
But I also read in this article that Design by Meta shared that there are already tools that are moving and filling the gap between Figma and Unity. So there are ways to export 2D design, 2D models into 3D, and then finish the work out of 3D. So yes, there is something that you need to know and work on Unity, but there is more and more players in this space allowing you to move 2D, 3D, VR, AR, and doing that. I'm not an expert yet. I read everything from the document, sorry, that article, and that's why I found it fascinating because it was really practical. So that's why I posted in the article and say you guys should read it because this is really how, I mean, one of the most advanced company in the world does it. So there might be something good. And so I feel we're getting there. I don't know enough. I want to spend some time in learning more, but I think it's coming because I've seen more and more courses about like AR and VR. I've seen even academic courses like college boot camps, right? So they're coming, and I guess the tools are the next one that will want to get into that space. So it's gonna be
mm.
the next Figma for AR and VR. I don't know. Maybe it's already Unity. I don't know. I honestly don't know enough, but I'm curious to explore it with you.
Right. Yeah, we will make another whatsoever filter or boomerang on thing. Uh, and it was funny. I remember that. Thank you for sharing, Fede.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it closed the gap, like closed the circle that we were studying to draw from AI to VR to AR. I don't think we have a magic pill here to close this up, or at least we aim just to empower you to acknowledge the fact that we are great as human beings and we are designing in a super interesting era no matter what, and we should, I think, should be grateful for. I know that it's not that easy. I know that it's not with the challenges and with the risks that are out there, but still, there's no better time right now to build something and to create something and to leave the mark, just
Yeah,
as a
this is gonna be the spirit also, and that's why we want to keep it this like third series to be that conversational and even quick.
Yeah.
Like we're not gonna go more than the 25, 30 minutes mark like today, because
Uh-huh.
we are very ignorant but very curious people here. So we want to keep being, we're still going to be ignorant because that's a good state to be in. And we're still going to be curious. So we're still going to be exploring those conversation topics with you guys. And I like it that way. I wouldn't change it. I like that state. I have a good partner here in curiosity. So yeah. And if there's any topic that you guys would like to discuss or come up with us. I mean, this is not a two people conversation. We will have guests, maybe even expert on this topic if we find like more interest. Yeah, that's it.
Why not? Yeah. Uh, Unlearn yourself.
Yeah,
That's a very good. The best relationship is with your curiosity. That's super. I don't take anything for granted. I love that.
yeah,
And totally agree on guests and keep the combo going. Let's say like what I'm thinking here to close this up is to just feel we want to leave you feel more inspired about what we started to talk, or even if it's just a nudge, or even if it's just something that you can bring in your next conversation about what are we designing for, or the future of design. That's just probably our best aim as possible. Then again, if you want to join us, that's the cherry on top. But yeah, every Wednesday you know how to find us.
yeah. And we'll publish the next topic a little bit in advance, probably Sunday or Monday, so you guys know. We're getting better at that too. Well, that's it for today. We got like 30 minutes of a nice talk. It was a very rich topic. Maybe we
Yeah,
need to follow up. But I would say thank you, everyone, and I'll see you next week.
you're the best, Fede. Have a lovely one.
You are.
Catch up soon.
Bye, guys. Ciao.
Ciao.